Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Brendan and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be breaking down and explaining everything that you need to know about the current state of Bitcoin, including this large descending triangle that has been forming over the last couple of months. Now, I talked about this in the last video, but I want to explain this just a little bit more because this is so similar to what we saw during the 2018 transition from the bull market to the bear market. And now that we're in 2021, almost 4 years later, of course, going in those 4-year market cycles, I want to explain just how significant this is and the impact that it could have on the future price of Bitcoin. So if that sounds entertaining at all, make sure you stick around for the entire length of the video as there will be important information discussed the entire way through. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive on into this one. Now, I was talking about this with some friends today, and I think that I might have made my last video maybe just a little bit more complicated and lengthy than it needed to be. So my goal here is to explain this in a little bit more depth, and also show the similarities a little bit better. So this is what the current state of Bitcoin looks like. Obviously, we had this giant parabolic run up, much like we saw back in 2017. We had the breakdown, and now we have this giant descending triangle forming. Now, if you're not familiar with what a descending triangle is, we have a falling level of resistance while maintaining relatively the same level of support. Now, this has been stretching on for months now, dating back all the way to the beginning of May, and of course, there is a death cross in the mix of this. Now, rolling us back on this daily chart to what we saw back in 2018, it's very similar to this. We topped out, we had a massive parabolic run up, and of course, we had the descending triangle. Now, what did that mean for Bitcoin? Well, we saw that during the middle of this descending triangle, we had the death cross happen. Now, we had a little bit of a fake out, and of course, the death cross continued and Bitcoin continued to plummet. Now, at the end of this, we saw that there was a falling level of resistance, a flat floor of a relative support level. Now, again, this does vary a little bit. The idea behind a descending triangle isn't that it has to be down to the exact dollar. It is saying that there is a relative same level of support while there is definitely a declining level of resistance. And that's what this was. Sometimes the support was at 5,700. Other times we saw it at 6,200. It really just kind of depends, but it's really saying that this was the relative area of support, much like what we're seeing right now. Now, of course, going back in time, we did fall right through this floor, and from top to bottom, from where the floor of this was to where we continued to fall from, Bitcoin fell another 48% before it eventually bottomed out just above $3,000. Now, I've said this a lot of times. Just because we fell 50% back in the 2018 one, and this is extremely similar, that doesn't mean that this has to fall nearly as bad. I think, again, cryptocurrency has come a long way since 2017, 2018. For anyone who was around back in there and actively a part of the community, you would remember this is a completely different game now. Obviously, there's a lot more involved. The technology has increased. It was kind of a little bit of a mess back then. Lots of stuff. BitConnect. And lots of memes and memories. But beside the point, something to note here is that, of course, we do have this death cross forming inside of the descending triangle, but volume is also falling off. It almost makes you wonder, well, if volume's falling off, if it looks like a chicken, it balks like a chicken, it's probably a chicken. I know that there's probably a better example of that, but you get the point here. I think that maybe it's a duck. Maybe that's the example, but that's the kind of the point that I'm making here. If it looks bearish, it sounds bearish. We've seen something just like this before, and it was bearish. In fact, very bearish, almost 50% more to the downside. This could very well turn into a similar situation. Now, let me emphasize one thing. People think that when I make these videos, I am so bearish on Bitcoin, which I am in the short term, but that does not mean that I am not accumulating Bitcoin. I love trading. I love investing even more. I see Bitcoin as a long-term investment. Now, I do sell it and I buy and I sell and I trade it, but also I see the value that when Bitcoin, if we want to bring out the measuring tool here, I see the value that where's the top? When Bitcoin is down over 51% from its all-time high, I see value in that. I see opportunity. I am not one to greed here and say, I'm not going to accumulate any. I am actively accumulating Bitcoin in these levels, and I have been in small increments, just dollar cost averaging myself in here, making sure that in the rare case that this does not fall through and that this is not the floor that's going to break, I am still prepared to profit because, again, I think that in the least, Bitcoin will retrace 50% up to back to its all-time high, and I can make it at least a 50% profit on this. Now, many of us would argue that Bitcoin will easily go back to its all-time high, if not higher, which I firmly believe that it will. I think that it's only a matter of time. Maybe that's months. Most likely it's going to be years, but I think that Bitcoin will surpass $100,000. So with Bitcoin being at 31,000, I still think that it's worth a good buy. Does that mean that I don't think that it's going to tank lower? The answer is no. There are so many bearish signs on here. In fact, I think that it's very likely that if we see even a fraction of what happened in the previous breakdown, maybe we only tank half as bad as we did last time. Let's just say that this is around 22% as opposed to the 48% that we saw back in 2018. That would still leave us to the mid to lower side of the 20s, around $24,000, which I think is going to be one of the golden pockets. Now, if we zoom out over here, obviously there is a little bit of support in this area, which is why if this breaks, it's going to be so rough. But the previous all-time high of Bitcoin is just below $20,000. So I think really I would say between $25,000 and $20,000, or like between $25,000 and $19,000. I know that's a little bit of a big pocket, but that's going to be my big buying area, because I think that this is going to be like the golden pocket of where I really want to accumulate my Bitcoin. I think previous resistance will then turn into support, and it will present us with a lot of opportunity moving forward into the future. Now, that is just kind of a simple recap. And again, to show anyone the similarities, just once again, this is what the descending triangle looks like right now. Of course, after this beautiful bull market, we had the breakdown, descending triangle, very similar in black and white. Zooming back to what we saw over here, this one was a little bit bigger, a little bit more lengthy, but same idea. Breakdown, descending triangle, floor fell out, and that's what happened. So the opposite of this can happen. In fact, that's what we saw back over in here, actually at the bottom, where we saw an ascending triangle, or even you could argue that this was a pendant. Now, ascending triangles are bullish. They are the inverse of a descending triangle, and it's very likely that when we're ready to bottom, we could see either an inverse head and shoulders or an ascending triangle as proof that we have bottomed. But until that point, we are not seeing that. We are seeing the inverse of that, which is why I remain bearish on Bitcoin, which does not mean that I am not accumulating. I know that's confusing, but that's my thoughts here. Now, let me be very clear. A lot of people believe that if Bitcoin tanks, altcoins will not be affected. Nothing I say is legal, financial, or tax advice in any way, so don't take it as such. But if Bitcoin tanks 99.9% of the time, altcoins will follow. Now, there will be the exceptions of something that maybe had news or whatever it is, or maybe it's a stable coin. 99% of altcoins, if Bitcoin tanks 20%, a lot of altcoins will tank 30, 40, 50%, and it will not be uncommon. I am being very hesitant about accumulating altcoins at this area because I know that if Bitcoin is to fall through the floor and fall to 25, 24,000, altcoins are going to take an even deeper dive than that. So, I mean, what would that bring Bitcoin to? If Bitcoin fell to 24, that would be maybe like 25%. So I could easily see altcoins falling 30, 40%. So I'm being very hesitant about accumulating altcoins at this level. I love altcoins. I have been accumulating them. However, I have been taking a step back, I would say about the last month or so, not accumulating altcoins just in case the floor does fall out. But I am still accumulating Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum, just a little bit. So I think Ethereum before Ethereum 2.0 launches is one of my favorite things to accumulate. So that's the reason I'm loading the boat on that one. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and round up this video here. I don't want to make it nearly as lengthy or complicated as the previous video, but hopefully you guys did enjoy. We got lots more content like this one coming your way, so hopefully you did enjoy. If you did like it, share it, like, comment, let me know your thoughts. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Drop a comment down in the comment section down below, and I will see you all in the next video.